First contact. The UES Odyssey emerged from the quantum slip with a vibrant flash, its massive silhouette materializing against the backdrop of an alien star system, like a mountain suddenly appearing in empty space. At 15 kilometers long and 4 kilometers wide, the Odyssey represented humanity's greatest achievement, a self-sufficient colony ship, research vessel, and diplomatic platform, combined into one awe-inspiring structure. Captain Ilara Voss stood on the command deck, her tall frame silhouetted against the holographic display, showing the rust-colored world growing larger before them. Her dark eyes reflected the lights of 1,000 monitoring systems as she observed the planet designated Kepler 438 bits, or Navaria, as they'd learned to call it through years of decoded transmissions. All systems nominal, Captain, reported Commander Jackson Reed, his fingers dancing across the neural interface of his station. Quantum drive fully cycled down. Conventional engines at 25%. We're establishing high orbit as planned. Ilara nodded, her expression betraying none of the anticipation churning in her stomach. After 8 years of preparation and a journey that had stretched human engineering to its limits, they had arrived at humanity's first in-person contact with an alien civilization. And our hosts. Any reaction to our arrival? She asked. Communications Director Sora Tanaka looked up from her station, her augmented eyes glowing with a soft amber light. Significant increase in transmissions from the surface, Captain. They definitely know we're here. I'd be concerned if they didn't notice a ship nearly the size of their moon, quipped Chief Science Officer Dr. Marcus Cole, who stood analyzing the sensor data streaming in about the planet. The Navari civilization had been discovered 12 years earlier when Earth's deep space arrays detected artificial quantum-entangled communications emanating from the Kepler system. Those signals had eventually resolved into transmissions that Earth's most advanced AI systems had painstakingly decoded, revealing a civilization roughly 2 centuries ahead of Earth's technology level. Years of remote communication had followed, methodical exchanges of information gradually building a rudimentary translation matrix and establishing the groundwork for direct contact. The invitation to visit had come from the Navari themselves, though their signals had conveyed a certain reservation about meeting beings from another world. "They're hailing us," Sora announced, her fingers moving through the air as she manipulated the invisible holographic interface. Same frequency we established during pre-arrival communications. Ilara straightened her charcoal uniform. On main display. The holographic display shifted, resolving into the image of a being that resembled something between a humanoid and a feline. Its iridescent scales shimmered in hues of deep purple and blue, while 6 eyes, arranged in a symmetrical pattern, studied them from an elongated face. 4 arms were visible, ending in 7-fingered hands with retractable claws. "I am Sentinel Prime Zilith of the Navari Conclave," the alien's translator rendered in precise, slightly mechanical English. "We welcome you to our world, though." The alien hesitated, its upper set of hands moving in what linguists had identified as a gesture of apprehension. "We did not anticipate a vessel of such magnitude." Ilara stepped forward into the visual field of the transmission. "Sentinel Prime Zilith, I am Captain Ilara Voss of the United Earth Ship Odyssey. We come in peace and friendship, bringing greetings from Earth. Our vessel's size reflects both the challenges of interstellar travel and our desire to present a complete picture of human civilization." The aliens' movements became more pronounced. "We understood humans to be approximately our size. Your vessel suggests otherwise." A ripple of amusement went through the bridge crew, quickly suppressed by professionalism. "Our size as individuals is similar to yours," Ilara explained. "Our ship is large because it contains many humans, over 12,000, plus all the systems needed to sustain us across the void between stars." This revelation seemed to shock the alien leader. 12,000. You brought 12,000 of your kind to our world. The translator couldn't fully capture the emotion, but the alarm was evident. Ilara realized they had miscalculated. In their eagerness to make a good impression, to bring scientists and diplomats from every discipline and nation on Earth, they had inadvertently created the impression of an invasion force. "We meant no alarm, Sentinel Prime," she said carefully. "The Odyssey carries representatives from Earth's many cultures and scientific disciplines. We wish to ensure that whoever you met would be able to understand and appreciate your civilization fully." Zilith seemed to consider this. "Our preliminary scans detect unusual energy signatures throughout your vessel. Are these weapon systems?" Ilara chose her words carefully. "The Odyssey is equipped with defensive capabilities only, as would be prudent for any vessel traveling through unknown space. We have no hostile intent." After a pause that stretched uncomfortably long, Zilith responded, "We will send a delegation to your vessel for initial contact, rather than having you descend to our world. Prepare to receive 3 representatives in 5 of your Earth hours." The transmission ended abruptly, leaving the bridge crew in silence. "Well," Dr. Cole said, breaking the tension, "that could have gone better." Ilara turned to her executive officer. "Commander Reed, inform the diplomatic team. Have the reception area prepared according to protocol yellow." "Yellow?" Reed questioned. "That's the cautious approach." "They're scared, Jackson," Ilara said quietly. "And scared beings make unpredictable decisions. Let's proceed with appropriate consideration for their concerns." As the crew dispersed to their duties, Ilara remained on the bridge, studying the beautiful rust-colored world below. Humanity's first contact would not be the triumphant moment of mutual celebration they had hoped for, but rather a delicate dance of reassurance and diplomacy. 5 hours later, Ilara stood in the Odyssey's vast reception bay alongside Earth's primary diplomatic team. Dr. Amina Okoro, the mission's chief xenolinguist, adjusted the settings on her translation device. "They're expecting a trap," Amina murmured, "or possibly a demonstration of overwhelming force." "Then we'll show them neither," Ilara replied as a proximity alert announced the approaching Navari shuttle. The alien craft that glided through the atmospheric containment field was surprisingly elegant, a spiraling, conch-shaped vessel with bioluminescent components incorporated into its metallic hull. It settled onto the deck with barely a whisper, its surface rippling slightly as it adjusted to the Odyssey's artificial gravity. A seam appeared in the shuttle's side, widening into a hexagonal portal from which 3 Navari emerged. Their movements were fluid and graceful, their multiple eyes swiveling to take in the vast hangar bay. Zilith, identifiable by the distinctive markings on their scales, led the group. They approached the human delegation slowly, stopping at precisely the distance that had been agreed upon in earlier communications. "Sentinel Prime," Ilara said, making the gesture of greeting they had learned from their communications. "Welcome aboard the Odyssey." Zilith's upper arms mimicked the gesture, though the movement seemed stiff. "Captain Voss, your vessel is most impressive. Thank you. We would be honored to show you more of it, at your comfort." One of the other Navari leaned close to Zilith, their limbs moving in what appeared to be a private conversation. After a moment, Zilith addressed Ilara again. "We are curious why humans would build a vessel of such size for first contact. In our history, such displays are typically intimidation." Dr. Okoro stepped forward. "Sentinel Prime, if I may, human history teaches us that misunderstandings between cultures often arise from incomplete information. Our vessel is large because we wish to bring not just diplomats, but artists, scientists, philosophers, representatives of the full spectrum of human experience. We desire that you meet humanity, not merely a few humans." The Navari conferred again, their movements becoming gradually less agitated. "An admirable sentiment," Zilith finally said, though perhaps alarming in execution. "Cultural differences we didn't anticipate." Ilara acknowledged this with a nod. "We hope to learn from this mistake, and many others we will likely make. Learning is why we came." This seemed to resonate with the aliens. "Learning is a worthy purpose," Zilith agreed. "We will proceed with the tour you offer." As they moved deeper into the Odyssey, The aliens' initial caution gradually gave way to curiosity. The ship's hydroponics gardens, with their carefully maintained Earth ecosystems, drew particular interest. "You bring your world with you," observed one of the Navari scientists, watching a monarch butterfly land on a flowering plant. "In a small way," Dr. Cole replied. "These systems provide both food and atmospheric recycling for our journey. Efficient," the alien noted, "though your methods differ from ours." The tour continued through research facilities, cultural exhibits, and engineering sections, carefully selected to demonstrate human achievements without overwhelming their guests. Throughout, the Navari asked increasingly sophisticated questions, revealing a keen analytical intelligence. The delegation was examining a holographic display of Earth's solar system when an alarm suddenly blared throughout the ship. Ilara's communicator activated immediately. "Captain, to the bridge," came Commander Reed's tense voice. "Priority 1. Ilara turned to the startled aliens. "Please forgive the interruption. Dr. Okoro will continue the tour while I attend to this matter." "Is there danger?" Zilith asked, limbs shifting in what they now recognized as anxiety. "I don't know yet," Ilara answered honestly, "but you have my word that you are safe aboard this vessel." As she hurried to the bridge, Ilara felt a growing knot of tension. First contact was delicate enough without complications. The bridge was a flurry of activity when she arrived. "Report," she ordered, striding to the command station. Reed's expression was grim. "We've detected an anomaly approaching from the system's outer reaches. Initial readings suggest a micro-meteoroid swarm, but the trajectory is unusual." "Unusual how?" "It's changing, Captain," Lieutenant Rajpatul reported from the sensor station. "The objects are adjusting course to intercept both Navaria and our position." Ilara frowned. "Natural objects don't change course. Are we looking at artificial weapons?" "Unknown," Paddle replied. "But at current velocity, they'll reach the planet's atmosphere in approximately 7 hours." Ilara studied the tactical display, watching the swarm of objects. Hundreds of them, curving toward the vulnerable planet below. "Have the Navari detected this?" "They're beginning to," Sora reported from communications. "We're picking up increased transmissions and what appears to be some kind of planetary alert." Ilara made a quick decision. "Inform our guests immediately. Open a channel to whatever passes for their planetary defense." As Sora worked to establish communications, Ilara considered their options. The Odyssey possessed defensive capabilities designed primarily for clearing space debris, point defense lasers, and electromagnetic countermeasures. Whether these would be effective against the approaching threat remained to be seen. What was clear, however, was that humanity's first contact had just become considerably more complicated. Alliance forged. The Odyssey's tactical center had been transformed into an impromptu war room. Holographic displays showed the approaching swarm of objects, now confirmed as artificial constructs, each roughly the size of a small car, composed of an unknown metallic alloy, and emitting faint energy signatures. Zilith and the Navari delegation stood beside Ilara, their 6 eyes fixed on the display. The initial suspicion had given way to urgent cooperation in the face of a shared threat. "They are harvesters," Zilith explained, upper hands moving in agitation. "An autonomous weapon system developed by the Vorax Empire. We believe them extinct millennia ago." "Apparently some of their weapons survived," Dr. Cole observed grimly, studying the sensor readings. "You've encountered these before." "Only in historical records," replied Tavik, the Navari scientist. "The harvesters were designed to strip planets of resources, particularly rare minerals and atmospheric components. They disassemble everything in their path, using the materials to replicate themselves." "Self-replicating weapons," Commander Reed muttered. "Charming." Ilara studied the tactical display. "What defenses do your people have against these?" "Our planetary shields can repel some," Zilith answered, "but not a swarm of this magnitude. Our orbital defenses were designed for conventional threats, not for this ancient terror." Ilara exchanged glances with her officers. Here was humanity's moment. First contact had become first alliance out of necessity. The Odyssey's point defense systems might be able to neutralize a significant portion of the swarm, she offered. We have both directed energy weapons and electromagnetic countermeasures. The Navari conferred briefly in their own language before Zilith turned back to Ilara. Our defense systems use quantum resonance technology that disrupts the Harvester's navigation systems. If we could combine our approaches. A coordinated defense, Ilara nodded. Complementary technologies. For the next 3 hours, human and Navari engineers worked side by side, finding ways to integrate their disparate technologies. The challenge revealed much about both species, humans demonstrating remarkable adaptability and creative problem-solving, while the Navari contributed precision engineering and advanced theoretical understanding. Your species approaches problems differently than ours, Tavik observed to Dr. Cole as they calibrated a sensor array. You make intuitive leaps where we would proceed methodically. Different evolutionary paths, different thinking styles, Cole replied, which is exactly why cooperation might save us both today. By the time the Harvesters were 4 hours from Navaria, the combined defense plan was ready. The Odyssey would position itself at the leading edge of the swarm, using its powerful electromagnetic systems to disrupt the first wave. Meanwhile, Navari defense platforms, reprogrammed with human assistance, would create a quantum resonance field to disable the Harvester's navigation. On the bridge, Ilara gave the order to move the Odyssey into position. The massive ship's engines glowed as it took up its defensive stance between the approaching swarm and the planet. This is not what we expected from first contact, Zilith said, standing beside Ilara on the command deck. You risk your vessel and your people for a world not your own. Ilara's gaze remained fixed on the tactical display. That's what explorers do. We don't just seek new worlds, we seek new friends. The first wave of Harvesters appeared as glinting points of light against the blackness of space. As they drew closer, their true form became apparent. Complex geometric structures that shifted and reconfigured as they moved, with drilling appendages and collection chambers visible on their surfaces. Electromagnetic countermeasures online, Commander Reed reported. Navari defense platforms are synchronized and standing by. Ilara took a deep breath. Initiate defense sequence. The Odyssey's electromagnetic system activated, sending out invisible pulses that washed over the approaching Harvesters. The effect was immediate. Dozens of the machines tumbled out of formation, their navigation systems temporarily disabled. Navari platforms activating now, Sora reported from communications. From the planet's surface and orbital stations, beams of coherent energy shot upward, creating a lattice of quantum resonance fields. The Harvesters that passed through these fields began to vibrate violently, their configurable structures unable to maintain integrity. For a moment, it seemed the defense was working perfectly. Then, a subset of the machines began to adapt, their structures shifting to compensate for the disruption. They're learning, Dr. Cole called out from the science station, adjusting their configurations to resist both our countermeasures. Ilara's mind raced. Can we modify our approach? Not quickly enough, Reed responded. The adaptive units will reach the atmosphere in less than 30 minutes. A tense silence fell over the bridge, broken by Zilith's unexpected declaration. There is another option. The resonance core of our shuttle could be modified to create a cascading disruptive field, one that would affect all Harvesters simultaneously. At what cost? Ilara asked, sensing a catch. The process would destroy the shuttle, and whoever pilots it would need to manually initiate the cascade at the center of the swarm. Before Ilara could respond, Commander Reed stepped forward. I'll do it. Jackson. Ilara began, but Reed cut her off. I'm the most qualified pilot we have, Captain, and this is why we came, not just to meet new civilizations, but to protect them if needed. The weight of command settled heavily on Ilara's shoulders. Every instinct screamed against sending her friend and executive officer on a potential suicide mission. Yet the alternatives were worse. The destruction of Navaria and possibly the Odyssey as well. "Prepare the shuttle," she ordered, her voice steady despite the turmoil within. "You have 20 minutes." As the Navari technicians worked frantically to modify their shuttle, Ilara and Reed shared a private moment in the launch bay. "This isn't how I imagined making first contact history," Reed said with a grim smile. "The history books can wait," Ilara replied. "Just focus on coming back alive." Reed's expression softened. "If I don't make it back, tell Earth that we found something worth protecting out here. Tell them we're not alone anymore." 18 minutes later, the modified Navari shuttle launched from the Odyssey, with Commander Reed at the controls. The small craft accelerated toward the approaching swarm, weaving between disabled harvesters as it pushed deeper into the formation. On the Odyssey's bridge, Ilara and Zilith watched in tense silence as Reed's shuttle approached the center of the swarm. "Target position reached," came Reed's voice over the comms. "Initiating resonance cascade in 3, 2, 1. The visual feed from the shuttle showed a blinding flash, then went dark. For a heart-stopping moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, like dominoes falling in sequence, the harvesters began to shut down, their complex structures freezing in place before tumbling into harmless trajectories away from the planet. "It worked," Dr. Cole announced, checking the sensor readings. "The entire swarm has been neutralized." "And Commander Reed?" Ilara asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Silence hung over the bridge until Sora suddenly straightened at her station. "I'm picking up a faint emergency beacon. Coordinates locked. It's Reed's survival suit." Scans located Reed floating in space, his survival suit damaged but intact, surrounded by the dormant remains of the harvester swarm. Within an hour, a rescue team had recovered him, injured but very much alive. As Reed was rushed to medical, Zilith approached Ilara on the bridge. "Your commander was willing to sacrifice himself for a people he had just met," the Navari leader said quietly. "We misjudged humans when we saw your great ship. We thought you came to intimidate or conquer. Now we understand you built it to explore and connect." Ilara smiled slightly. "Humanity has had its share of conflicts and misunderstandings. Perhaps that's why we're so determined to get it right when we reach for the stars." In the days that followed, the formality of first contact gave way to genuine cultural exchange. The Navari welcomed human delegations to their cities, while Odyssey crew members shared Earth's art, music, and philosophy with their new allies. 1 month after the Harvester incident, Ilara stood in the Odyssey's observation deck with Zilith, watching shuttles move between the ship and the planet below. "The Navari High Council has approved the establishment of a permanent human embassy on Navaria," Zilith announced, "and we would like to send representatives to Earth when the Odyssey returns." "The beginning of a long friendship, I hope," Ilara replied. "More than friendship," Zilith corrected. "Our scientists have been studying the recovered harvester units. There are indicators that many more such swarms exist in dormant states throughout this sector of the galaxy. A threat to both our worlds. And others we have yet to meet," Zilith agreed. "We propose a formal alliance, not just diplomatic, but defensive. Together, our technologies and different approaches to problem-solving make us stronger than either would be alone." Ilara considered the proposal. What had begun as an exploratory mission had transformed into something far more significant, humanity's first interstellar alliance. "I believe Earth will agree," she said finally. "After all, the stars are vast and full of wonders and dangers. Better to face them with friends at our side." As they sealed their agreement with the formal gestures of both cultures, Ilara thought about the long journey that had brought humanity to this moment. From the first tentative steps beyond Earth's atmosphere to this alliance with a civilization from another star, humans have been driven by curiosity, courage, and the fundamental desire to connect. In the vastness of space, they had found not just alien life, but a reflection of their own best qualities, and perhaps, at last, their place in the cosmos.